Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be installing the AirtekK air suspension system on here. So we're going to be bagging this thing. We're going to do bags on the front, bags on the back. So I just wanted to show you guys how to install it, how to set up the trunk, all the problems you may run into along the way. It's already done, but I won't show you all the goodies until at the end of this video. So stay tuned. All right, so now I have the stand all painted up and ready. I've ran the lights all on it that I want on there. And finally, got in the air tank and the rest of the AirtekK Stage 2 Plus kit. They send them in 3 different packages: package 1, package 2, package 3. And when they say it takes about 4 to 6 weeks, they mean that 6-week part. It came in exactly 6 weeks afterwards. So what I want to do now is get everything dry fit on here to make sure that it all fits the way I want. All right. That's our air control unit. It's taller than I thought it would be, so I have to make sure I didn't. Put it in the wrong angle for the stand that I'm using. We have our wireless remote control. This right here is going to be one of the relays. Let's see here. This right here would be for the water. And we have our hoses and our wires too as well up in there. And the antenna. Of course, we won't be using this cheap stuff. We use the better stuff. And let's take a look in here. So the air filters. Pump number 1. And pump number 2. We have the AirtekK bags. Now these are for the front shocks right here. And these would be for the front right here. And so you got nice bags up on here. It looks good weight. Oh, I'm looking forward to mounting these right here. So that's one of the front bags. And this right here will be the other front bag. So we get our 2 front struts right there. Now when you go in the rears, on ours we have a spring and we have a separate shock. So that's what we're going to have on here. I know some cars have just shocks in the back and the springs integrated into that. Whereas on the rears you would just have one unit like this to put in there. Well, on ours we have separate springs and we have separate shocks. So as a result, these right here will replace the springs you have in there in the rear. The bags right here. Nice. And should be one more. Very heavy weight here. Nothing in here feels flimsy or not well made at all. And then, we're not done yet. Now remember I said these replace the springs. So that means you also need shocks too as well to replace your shocks on there. And these right here would be for the rear shocks. These will replace that. One more. Get your dust cover. Get your rings for adjusting. Everything you need for plug and play. All right, so now it's time to put the connections onto the bags. And so I just want to go over everything that I have and why I have these certain things right here. So, of course, you got the bags. This is all the kit from AirtekK over here, right? Minus this leader hose. I put that on ahead of time, but we'll go over that. But I also ordered these from Bag Riders, except for these four up here. These four push connection, these came from with the AirtekK, They came with here. Everything else is what I ordered from Bag Riders, excluding that, but with this over here as well. So these right here is for like any of your plywood boxes you may have in there that you're setting up for your system in the trunk, the tanks and everything, or if you need to run a line through the floor, this right here helps out. They're called bulkhead connections. So these are, I'll show you these later when we're actually doing the trunk setup. Now these others over here, I got them because I wasn't sure if I would need them. Different angles, different fittings on the end, sizes on the end too. So these are just for just in case. I would rather have them when I start than not to have them. It turns out that I need them. And they weren't very expensive, especially these were less than $3 a piece. This right here one is 1/4 inch on one end, and with the 1/4 inch for the holes, because I'm running 1/4 inch holes. And these right here are the same as this right here, would be 1/8 inch for the male side, also with the 1/4 inch holes over here. And these right here, these little caps, they are for this side over here. The holes kind of just run through them. You see the hole right there in the middle. The holes, your holes run through them. And so that will give a little cap on here to protect any debris from getting in there. So again, this is all what I ordered from over at Bag Riders. Now, if you look on here, a lot of these YouTube videos out here, people installing this, but they don't talk about certain things. This is one of them. Your connections on here, because there's no instructions on the AirtekK website for sizing or anything like that. But I'm sure if you need it, you can call and just ask them. But this hole right here, the holes is on here, are 1/8 inch. So you need the 1/8 inch male fittings for that. The same here on the rear bags. That also is 1/8 inch as well. So it'll be 1/8 inch male running into the 1/4 inch, well, at least the holes I'm running is 1/4 inch holes. All right, now over to here. I ordered 2 of those. Again, one is already installed on here. I put that on in advance. But I ordered 2 of these. I ordered these through Amazon. Let's see here. That is the part number right there. That's the size that I ordered. And I ordered 18 inch. And now I'm wishing I had ordered 24 inch just to have that little extra amount. But these right here are for the front struts, not for the rear bags, just for the front struts. People don't seem to run leader hoses on the rear bags, but I was debating about doing it. And I'll tell you that why when I'm doing the installation. But yeah, so we need 2 of the leader hoses, one for each bag. And we also need some good tape, really good tape. Don't cheap out here. You don't want to leak. And I'm also going to be running some paste too as well on there, just to be overly cautious. And you're going to need Allen wrench and different size wrenches as well. Now back to the bags. Now for the rear bags, it came with these two right here and these two bolts right here, these two plates and the two bolts. The plates, I didn't understand where they go. The bolts, I'm not 100% sure about, and I'll tell you why. They really don't have a place on anything with this system right here. And within the car, as far as any bolts that come out from the car itself, these bolts won't replace anything that's already in there, meaning that maybe it's they're replacing with longer bolts for some reason, but nothing in there will accommodate this. The only place it will accommodate is right here, and I'll tell you about this right here. So this would be the bottom of the airbag. So you know where your spring's currently set at, that little cradle down there, this right here would rest right into that cradle. And so when there's a hole in the middle of that cradle at the bottom, and so this bolt right here, or that, yeah, the bolt right here will actually kind of stick down, protrude out beyond that hole at the bottom. And so the purpose of this, let me get that all the way off. Come on, down to the last threads, I believe. Ooh, there we go. So now imagine this sitting in that cradle. So you got the metal floor right here for where the spring used to be at. Now this is in this place. This part is protruding through the hole in the middle. And this right here will go on the bottom of that metal bracket. And so we'll sandwich up in there. So when you put this back on there, like so, it will lock it in place. So it won't go any place, right? So pretty straightforward, understandable. Now what I think these right here are for is to replace this right here. That if for whatever reason you wanted to not use this here as your setup, you can take this out. You can see the setting, I think, what is that, a Allen's wrench that hold there. You can screw this on out of there. This is that exact same size, same threading, everything. So take this out, put this on there, and it'll screw it in and tighten it in. So that's my assumption is what this is really for, to be able to switch it out. Why? I don't know. I may give them a call and ask. But other than that, let's go ahead and get started and put the hoses, put all the fittings on these things. I already did this one here, so I'll show you how I was able to get that into there. So as you can see on the one without it, you'll be wondering how can you screw that in there. So first we're going to take our Allen's wrench and we're going to remove those two right there. And I'm not putting it on this top right now, but what I'm going to do before I put this onto the car, I'm going to these two screws that I'm taking out, or bolts that I'm taking out, and the ones in the others too. I'm going to put some Loctite, some blue Loctite on there beforehand. These have lock washers in there, which is great. But for added just peace of mind, I will put some blue Loctite onto these threads. It's hard to get those off of there. Let me put it back in a little bit. And I should be able to get it out of there. And take note of the orientation, like you got this opening right here. It's closed off back here, so just take a note of all of that so you're not all too confused when it's time to put it back together. All right, we'll set those to the side. Then this cap So now we're going to take this cap off. All right, that's how it looks on the bottom. Just a big chunk of aluminum. And then you can take this plate off for now. And you'll notice there's screws up underneath. These are for most likely for other setups for the other types of cars. But on ours, you'll notice that the only thing, it covers up these two right here. And so this is the one where the air goes into. All right. So we're going to take one of the, one of the 1/8 inch ones, and just doing a little test fit to make sure the threads are good. All right. And we're going to put more on there. Don't just count on that stuff on there. I think that's enough. Take a bit of paste. I better not get any on the couch. Just need a little. Not much. All right, now we have that. I will take it. Oops. All right. Now we'll get my wrench out. I believe this is a 14 millimeter. All right. As you can see, that can swivel right there. Now we'll take our plate, put it back on. Take this plate, put it on top, make sure it all lines up. And when you take it off, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see where they originally had it tightened down at, the circle from the washer kind of made an indent up in there. I'm just going to line it back up on those. Use that as my reference point. And I'm not going to tighten it down just yet because I want to go in and adjust everything up. Make sure everything looks lined up. Everything is pretty well centered all around here. Make sure it's evenly spaced between there to there. When I think everything looks good, then I'll go ahead and tighten it up. And remember, I don't have my Loctite now, so I'm going to be taking these back out later and putting some Loctite on those. And now that's in there, and you can see that it does swivel. See that? There we go. So you can adjust it slightly if you need to for where your hose is going to go in there. And then the next one is going to be here. So we'll take our leader hose and we're going to do the same. Right. This right here one would be a 10 millimeter. Take a little bit of toilet paper, clean up the excess. And that's it. So now we have all our, oh, one more thing. So this right here is connected on here. And now you'll probably run this part into the actual engine bay. So you have access to the connection, your rubber hose that's going to go on there. And so how are we going to make that connection? We're going to take one of ours with a 1/4 inch end. All right. And also still a 1/4 inch hose side. And we're going to put that on there. So you're also going to put your blue tape on here, or whatever tape you end up using, paste if you decide to use paste and be overly cautious like me. And then at that point, this is a swivel end right here as well. So when this is inside of your engine bay, you can turn it to be directly towards your hose. All right, and here it is on this one. So you can see the end product. And you can see how it just turns. All right, so that's what we needed to do before we mount these puppies into the car. All right, so one of the big things you really, or more or less one of the more time-consuming things you're going to have when you're doing your air ride system is setting it up, because unless you really don't care that much about it, but as far as if you want it to look nice or want it to be show quality, is getting that set up in your trunk. And so for me, I'm going to be using this prefabbed mounting plate right here, and it's just going to fit up in there. So what is this, 16 inches wide, and I have about 16 inches worth of space between the sub box and down here. So I wanted to make a box for it, and the box and the material is the wood is what the plywood is what, a ½ inch thick. So it's about an inch worth of when you combine the back side and the side over on this side, it's about an inch worth of space. So in reality, I need about 17 inches, and I think I may be able to get it just up in there. So that's kind of the space I got to work with. So it's going to be a box here, on here going around it. And I'm probably going to have this up on a platform inside the box, where the perimeter of that platform is probably going to be an inch smaller than the perimeter of the actual box. That way it can be some glow lights coming from up underneath. But I think it's going to be pretty nice. I'm probably going to finish it off with a lid, plexiglass over, light show, you know how it goes. All right, so what I've done so far, let me take the mounting bracket off here. I'm taking some 1/4 inch plywood. For me, for my needs, I made it 36 inches long and made it 17 inches wide here. And as you can see from the back, if you can tell, it's hollow underneath. I made these triangles underneath as a base because ultimately I want it to be on an angle. So if I'm standing towards the back trunk of the car looking into the trunk, this part will be up and the plate will be, zero way a bit, will be on here like that. All right, so that's essentially how I'm setting it up so far. And so the tank will be here, and of course the two pumps will be here, and the management system will be right here on the stand right here. And what I want to do is get some spacers, some metal spacers. That way this can actually be looking like it's floating above the base right here. So I was just thinking about that. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. Just put some spacers. I may even put a couple in the middle here too as well, just so it's nice and solid all the way around. It'll be floating up, and there'll be some lighting up underneath, glowing from underneath there. All right, so what's going on right now, I'm just spraying the material I'm going to put on it. I have to need to spray both sides because it's more like a contact type of glue, like cement, like a contact cement. So I sprayed the actual wooden board, and I put my sprayed it on here too as well. So now I'm laying it out, getting it ready to bring over the wood to lay on it. I want it nice and flat. I don't know if you can tell, but the material I'm using is pretty glimmery. I want that because the lighting off of it should really pop off of this material. All right, so this is where things stand now. So got everything nice and covered over here. I haven't did the sides yet because when I put in my bulkhead connections up in here, I want to be able to drill in the holes first without the material on there, because your drill will grab that material and wrap it around and mess it all up. So I'm gonna do the sides later. So I already have, you can't see it, but my holes are all the way through the materials and through the wood for the top mount. I went on and painted this, as you can see. I painted a glossy black. I put a coat of primer on it and put like 2-3 coats of black on it. I prefer just to use my favorite. I just used to use Rust-Oleum. I've tried other rattle cans, but Rust-Oleum seems to do the best to me. And now what I want to do, now that it's dried overnight, I want to mount this up. And how I want this, I want it to be slightly raised up off of here. That way I can do lighting up underneath this, that it'll come, some glowing will come from between there. So what I'm going to use these spacers that I got from the hardware store, and they're going to go up underneath there. So this will basically set on top of there. And then I have the bolts. I've went on and threw some primer and some paint on that, the same shiny glossy black, so that it won't stand out on there. And I got some threaded locking bolt nuts as well. So this is the next phase of doing that. All right, as you can see, I put the spacers up in there. So now you can see the gap that I was talking about that I wanted. That way I can run some nice thin LED lighting up underneath there to allow for the glow to just resonate from out from under here, and also bouncing off of the glitter within the material. I think that'll look pretty good. Now what I'm thinking about doing though is switching out these metal spacers for some rubber spacers. That may be better from a vibration dampening standpoint. All right, a little dark out here, so here's a little light to this, so you can see the test fit that I'm doing right now. As you can see, the extra material I haven't trimmed off yet, but I'm just doing a dry fit just to see if I have everything, because I don't have the tanks and the pumps yet. So I just want to make sure everything is lining up, because you got to think about this arm swinging down. Is this too high where it's going to hit the roof of the trunk when I close it? And the tanks, are they going to be too close to the sub box down there? And thinking of that, I'm going to be taking that out too as well, and revamping that a bit to match the whole setup in here. So you can see the carpeting over there is all gray. This is kind of glittery, so I have to do something to make it all uniform. All right, so I went on and took the sub box out of the back, because I'm going to need to make some changes to make it aesthetically the same as the new setup. Changing some of get rid of all that chrome and stuff. But I wanted to, this is basically how it's going to sit in the trunk, with the air management system here slanted down towards the sub box in the back of the trunk. And so when I'm changing out the lighting in here and the insides up in there, how I want it to look, I also want to have the outside material, at least what's visible to the viewers, will match what I have here, so I'll have multiple types of materials throughout the trunk. So now I have the speaker box all covered with the same type of material with the glitter effect to it. Painted up the chrome pieces black on here. So the side box, I would say, is ready at this point in time, because that's really all I wanted to do. Now this right here is getting further along. All right, so now what I want to do, I want to start working on the lighting for this. And what I did, I ordered these right here out. They're like, how many feet is this? I think it's, what, 16 feet of strip lights. You can change the colors, you can change the mode, they can go with the sound of the music, and a USB. And I paid off of eBay, I think I paid $2 or something for them, which is pretty great. And so I ordered 2 packs of those. And this right here is what I got also off of Amazon as well. You see you got 2 USB, the male side over here. And then this right here will plug into the power source in the back by the lighting. Just raw wires. And in the middle here, it reduces the DC voltage from 12 volts down to 5 volts. Because typically, these lights right here are running at about 5 volts. So whenever you're thinking about that, you may want to go ahead and pick up some of these too if you're going to be running ones that have the USB plug on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and remove this off of here, and I'm going to start running lighting on the back side of the metal one. And I picked up some Gorilla Glue, because even though it may have the tape on here, I don't think that really will hold up, especially when you think about the trunk and the heat that builds up in there. So I want to make sure that it doesn't fall off while after all the work is done. So I'm going to Gorilla Glue it to the back side of here. All right, so I don't have the bolts in here yet, of course. It's just a test fit. So, oh, well, I got the bolts in, but not the nuts. So I can just lift it out. See the spacers. I'll move this out of the way. And take the bolts out. Now turn it upside down, and we want to do the lighting underneath here.